My name's Scruffy, and I hope you enjoy this segment of the podcast.
This is Nightingale. So this is actually a game that all of us.
You say all of us, and then it always does not include
I
me.
thought you were excited.
feel
I say that because I thought you were excited about that. I'm sorry. I thought you were also
Eh.
excited about Nightingale.
Nah, unfortunately not.
Well, I will say myself, Enigma, and Scruffy were excited about Nightingale. It has had a troubled development cycle. Like, it got pushed and delayed. It was supposed to come out last year. And it got pushed into early 2024, and now it is in early access. And so here's what I'll say, right? So the game,
What is the game first?
okay,
and foremost?
it is a survival game. It's a survival game. Like that's exactly what it is. It's purely
Okay, so like, is it along the lines of like Valheim and stuff like that?
yes, very, very close to Valheim in a lot of the ways that they treat like sleeping, they treat like housing, different effects, like berries that you'll eat, food that you'll consume, all of those kind of things. Very, very Valheim. And I will say that it plays similar to Rust with like some of the combat systems or whatever else.
Very arcadey.
Yeah. This is not like a super in your face, like gonna be very like Daisy or ultra realistic. Like it's not. It's a very arcadey. And I would even say on the survival side, like it's lighter. Like it has very much of like you're not going to sit there and be always got to be like, oh fuck, I always got to eat. Like you do have a stamina. Your green, like if you're watching again the stream, the green bar is your food. The blue bar is like your stamina. And or like not stamina, like I don't know how to call it. Like they have two different versions. No, they have two different versions of stamina. So you have that meter where like you'll get tired. I guess that's like your rest meter. And then you have the yellow meter, which is below you that you're seeing on Scruffy's screen right now, where if that's your like stamina meter. So if your rest meter,
food, sleep, and health, because I see like a little knife and fork. I see a little moon. Take a little nappy nap.
I mean, I don't. So the problem is that it's not like, yes, they refer it as a as like a sleep meter, but it's not like
technically there's three staminas because there's the one directly underneath of your character that's like slowly counting down as you're running.
Right. Like, so that is your true stamina. But if your sleep meter or whatever that meter is gets low, then your stamina goes to 10. Like you have nothing. So it's also, you're balancing
it's
that
resource management. Yeah.
Right. But it's very light. Like you don't,
okay.
It's not anything kind of crazy. What I love about the game is one, it works. Like the game functions pretty well.
I would hope so.
Like it doesn't.
We don't see that enough in gaming these days, so I'm happy that that's a check in the box.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't like. And when I say, okay, I will say when I say it runs fine, like it works and it plays well. Like yeah, I have had crashes. Like I have crashed, 3 times with it. So I am taking that into consideration.
So it works when it wants to.
Yes, but like when you're talking about like a lot of these games, when you look at like Icarus, when you look at even Valheim, when you look at a lot of these survival games that go into early access, like they're buggy, they're fucking like rubber banding all over the place.
Is that an excuse we should be accepting though? Because I don't accept that. I think if you're gonna put a product out there for a price, you can't just slap the early access title on it and assume that people are going to accept the flaws. Although I am digging this Mary Poppins ass umbrella move.
Yes, we'll get to the umbrella, but so that's where I'm like, you're absolutely right. I don't think that it's okay to just be like, oh, it's early access, so it's okay to just be unplayable or be shitty. Like you said, if you're asking money from people, it should be at least somewhat playable. And that's
it should be 100% playable. I don't personally like early access in general. Like,
I don't mind crashes. Like if I crash, I'm okay. Like I said, I crashed 3 times and I'm okay with the crashing because it's minimalistic based on how much I play.
Experience.
But like I would like if it was like I boot up, I crash, I boot up, I crash, I boot up, I crash. Like that's problems. Like I would boot up, I'd play it for perfectly fine and then not have any issues and all, and then I would crash Usually what I found when I was crashing, when I was trying to connect to Scruffy's world, so maybe it's a server issue that's causing, or like Scruffy was connecting into my world, that's when I would crash. But I will say, like, again, rubber banding, not a thing. Like, building, not a problem. Like, I had no issues playing the game. It played fine. What I like about it is the genre, or not genre, but the world that they're in. You know, like we don't see a lot of games go into this like steampunky fantasy world, and that's where this is playing within. So
it's a high tech fantasy.
Yeah. So what you do is
high low tech, like high fantasy, low tech.
You are going to different biomes and different worlds based off these cards that you find. And so right now Scruffy is in a swamp area. It's because he chose.
Is it a poison swamp?
I think there's some of it. There's some of the water, yeah, that's poisonous. I know that. And one of the worlds I was in, I was getting diseased because I was in the water, or whatever else. And so that occurs. But yes, there are poisonous areas of the map. But you find these cards and you play them, and they will send you to different biomes. And then some, like, they have two individual cards that you play. One is the biome itself, and then one is like I believe like the enemies that you'll encounter,
like a modifier,
kind of, yeah. And I think that there are also more cards that you can add to it. Again, the game only launched on the 20th, so we've only had 2 days of playtime with it.
So that's kind of your way of creating your seed, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay.
What they also do really, really well is that you can have, so there's no PvP in this. It's all single player or all co-op. It's up to 6 players, and so I jumped into Scruffy's world, and when I jumped into Scruffy's world, I did not have to do anything once Scruffy logged out, and we didn't have to have a server. Like, that was the world that we were playing on. So, and we both tested it. Like, he logged out, and then I logged out, and then I logged in because it wasn't my original world. I logged in, and I am still in that world. So, like, it is persistent through, I guess, wherever you're at. And I can go invite, and he can invite me to his party, and he's setting up this cairn, and that's kind of like your pillar of your base of where you're going to start. And I had access to his cairn, he could give me access to it, and then from there, that was it. Like, I would play and progress the world or progress what's going on. He would then log in and also continue to progress where he's at. I could be in a completely separate world, in a separate realm, because of a card that I used, and I'm doing all those kind of things, but we're still connected. I could still come back to here where he is. So they handle that very well.
So you find a card setup that you want to set up a home base onto, you can do that, and then you can world bounce to gather stuff and then return to that home base world.
Correct. Because there are like different, I will say this is a bad thing about the game. It is fucking a lot of shit, dude. Like, you have like prey bones, predator 1 bones, prey hide, predator 1 hide, predator 2 hide, predator 3 hide. Like, you have like all of these different fucking it's a lot of shit.
Sound like placeholder names.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a lot. Like, when you look at like how much stuff you're using to craft stuff and do things with, like, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have a story. Sorry, go ahead.
Nah, that level of like that breadth of stuff is the whole reason that this kind of genre like does not appeal to me, or at least intimidates me, like survival as a whole. And this seems like it's to the penultimate extreme of that.
I mean, it is a lot of shit. Like, there's
especially
lot of
with the the seed building and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of craziness that you are having to gather for different kind of materials. I will say that I've not felt like I've been like barrier locked or like glass ceilinged, because I don't necessarily have all of the materials that I need yet. Again, we're still in the very early stages of it, but I mean, you can get firearms You can move all the way through, you know, and getting into like more magical fey magic stuff. They do have abilities and things like that that you can attach to different types of gear. You see the umbrella, so like what that's used for is like if you're up high somewhere, you jump off, you have your umbrella out, and you can just glide down like Mary fucking Poppins. You know, to the bottom. It does require stamina to do so. But you know, it's I love the creatures, I love the world, I like the environment that you're in. There are a lot of quality of life things that are kind of a pain in the ass, where like you can't loot like through your you can't craft through your chest, so you have to go to the chest, get the items out, go back to the bench, craft, and then go back
Right.
and put the items back in. Like that's annoying. Those things I think will get fixed. But from a survival style game, like if you like survival games, it's $30. It's not it's not super expensive. Um,
No,
I
30
mean,
bucks is a decent price. I'm still not the biggest fan of early access, but
yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
this is indie as well, right?
yes. So let me see who was the developer for Nightingale. I believe it was Indie.
Okay. Because I can understand early access with indie developers a little bit just because they are needing funding to continue to produce said games. So paid alpha testing, paid beta
Yeah.
testing, that kind of thing is where it kind of falls into.
So
Um,
Inflexion, this is their first game, and they are self-publishing. By the way,
okay, then I'll be a little bit less harsh on that aspect of things.
I wonder how many people are at Inflexion. Let's see. They are based out of Alberta, Canada.
That's pretty cool. Brothers to the North.
And it looks like it's a pretty small team. I mean, they don't looks like they don't have, but actually I can go to their LinkedIn and tell you exactly how many employees they have. They have
Yeah.
got a total of well, I mean, it's not tiny. It's 50 to 200 employees. So I don't that LinkedIn doesn't give me an exact range.
Yeah,
It just
but
tells
you
me
don't
50
know
to 200.
who's developing game, who's like accounting, that kind of stuff. So
Right.
you don't know how many people are actually working on the game. Regardless, I will redact my statements on early access because indie devs do it leads to a different avenue of development that a lot of games would never even get the chance to be made without early access. It's the one avenue that I think is okay for early access. So,
Like
um,
I
how far along is it before you think it's like 1.0 ready? Like how
oh
early
it,
access are we? Like how early?
yeah,
Because I'm
I
seeing
would
a lot of people in chat saying that this ain't it.
I
This
don't know, man.
this is
I so like
rough.
they're okay. So the one of the people that is saying this is Enigma, who is not on the show. I was hoping he was gonna be on the show because I wanted to go toe to toe with them on this one, specifically. I think that again, when I look at like Power World, when I look at Icarus, when I look at games like Valheim and stuff like that, like those games were rough. Like when they launched,
Mm-hmm.
they were like Valheim was probably the closest to being like an actual like really good like it wasn't
Yeah,
bad,
Valheim was
right?
pretty polished at
Right. It
early
wasn't. It
access.
wasn't. It wasn't terrible. This is not a Valheim. This is not like it. The functionalities of the thing work. Like you're not gonna. I'm not gonna. I have not had a situation where like I tried to open something or craft something. It didn't work. It didn't craft. It didn't do it. Like again, the game functions. The game works. The game does what it's supposed to do and does it fine.
Okay.
How far would I say that it is to get out of early access? I think you're probably still like easy a year, maybe a year and a half out, depending on what they want to do. You know, I think quality of life stuff is needs to be number one. Content wise, from what I'm seeing, there's a fair bit amount of content between it. Um, they have discussed about wanting to do some type of like PvP system where you can go into someone else's world.
Invasions, yes.
But I don't know necessarily what you know how that will pan out. I think the big thing there is just kind of like, okay, cool. What am I continuing to push for, right? Like what am I
Right.
why? What am I doing? You know, you've got
And
games.
another question is what we're seeing in chat is what is going to differentiate this? What's going to pull somebody from a different survival game like Sons of the Forest, like Pow World, like this breadth of gaming that is in this genre to this title? Like, where's the unique aspect, you think?
Again, I think like I think they're relying very heavily on the world that you're in, right? Like the steampunkiness of it, the card system. Again, because what you see here, right? It's just like, okay, cool, tent, brick home, bed, axe, hoe, shovel, sickle. It's all the same shit. Like it's literally just, you take one survival, it does it here, vice versa, right?
Right.
So to me, it's kind of like that Fey magic, exploration of the card system. Like, how many worlds can I really go to? I will say, like, you get in and you are kind of taken a back because, like, one of the very first things I saw was this like tree monster that shat sticks. I was in a desert. There was no way for me to get sticks except for, and it was, again, an innovative way to say, hey, here's how you can get sticks. You follow this tree monster around and go, please, can I have some more? And it just shits out sticks for you.
Like literally dumps them?
Literally shits out sticks. Like it literally stops, grumbles, squats, sticks fall out, and you keep on moving.
That'll do it.
So yeah, those types of things are cool, right? It's the interesting factor of like, what am I going to see next? Where am I going to go? That I think will continue to drive the game forward.
Okay.
Again, I want to make sure I keep this, like, it's $30, right? We're not talking about a $60 game. We're not talking about a $70 game, $80 game.
Yeah, but
like,
even in the $30 landscape, there's a lot of games that compete at a $30 level with this.
True, but a lot of the survival games, like if you take, like, again, something like Icarus, something like Daisy, something like, 7 Days to Die is not one because 7 Days to Die has been out for a long time and cheap. But, they're like, those games, survival games, can be expensive. Like they can be, $40, $50. And I think for $30, I like it. Again, I'm having fun with it. I'm enjoying it.
That's all that matters, man.
So I would say if it intrigues you, go grab it. It functions better than Pow World, and I liked Pow World, but it functions better than Pow World. Like, so, take it or leave it, wherever you want, with that kind of situation. So,
Nightingale.
So Nightingale, $30 on Steam and Epic, if you want to go pick it up there.
Thanks all for tuning in to the Patch Notes. And if you enjoyed and want to see more, you can catch us live every Thursday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, or catch us after the fact at anchor.fm/prepatch podcast. See you next time.